Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 5 Thursday night football, and we've got a game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Chicago Bears in Chicago. And there's a lot up in the air in this game. We've got a bunch of injuries. We've got a short week. We've got Godwin, who is out for a couple of weeks already and does not look like he's ready to make a return, though he might. He did not practice early in the week. We also have Mike Evans, who came down hobbled in the Sunday game. If you watch that game, he had himself a fantastic game in the absence of Godwin. We elevated him on the Anti-Tinkercast on Sunday morning on twitch.tv/Al_smizzle, where I record the majority of the content here for the YouTube channel. We record it live. I'm live 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, and then Sunday, the 45 minutes right before kickoff. So depending on the health of those two wide receivers and whether or not they play in this Thursday night contest, we're going to have very possibly an overload of value on the team that is expected to be, is the favorite and is expected to win this game, especially with the loss of, OJ Howard on top of that. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts on the Buccaneers roster, which is opening up a lot of usage possibly for some really value oriented plays. So it's going to be pretty easy to fit anything you want into this lineup. So we're going to take a look at all of it. I'm going to go through the groups that you need to build, whether you're building lineups by hand or using an optimizer. I'm going to show you a little bit of how I build lineups on the Fantasy Labs optimizer to give you kind of a skeleton key of how to start approaching lineups if you're going to use the optimizer. And if you're not somebody who is mass multi-entered before, when I say MME, I mean mass multi-entry, somebody who's entered 100 or 150 lineups into tournaments, I believe that that's a skill set that you should try to hone, especially with where daily fantasy is now and where I believe that it's going in the next few years. There's plenty of opportunities for you to get involved in that for 5 cents, 10 cents, 25 cents, and 50 cents per entry, depending on what your bankroll size or what your normal expenditure on one of these single game showdown slates is. You don't have to go in and fire for $1,500 in the $10 tournament just to say that you've entered 150 times. There's a way to get involved for like $7.50, $15, and you have yourself a nice chance to win like $300 to $300, $500, $2,000, depending on the size of those tournaments, whether it's on a showdown slate or a main slate. But like I said, it's a skill that I believe that you should hone, and we're going to walk you through how to do some of it here. So let's look at some of the players in this slate. I wanted to take a second to say thank you guys for all the support on the channel recently. Like this video. Let's see if we can get, I don't know, 10% is our rule, right? I don't know how many views this video is going to get. Maybe 12,000 by Thursday night. Let's see if we can get 1,000 plus likes on this video for Thursday night. If you're new to the channel, welcome here. Subscribe. Make sure you hit the notifications bell. Leave me a comment in the section down below. Let me know who your favorite captain is going to be on this slate. And let's get to the analysis. First of all, we got Tom Brady. Everybody wanted to accuse Tom Brady of having a noodle arm and not being able to throw the ball anymore. However, he is one of the league leaders in terms of downfield throws and accuracy on those downfield throws. So it's not about Tom Brady not taking shots the last couple of years in New England. It was more about Tom Brady not having the personnel to throw the ball to down the field. Now he's on a team that, when healthy, has Mike Evans, has OJ Howard, has Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller getting into the act, getting down the field, as well as Watson if he has to come off the bench, another outside receiver with a little bit of athletic skill that can stretch the field, and has all of them playing in the Bruce Arians offense that does like to take shots to open things up underneath. So it was never about Tom Brady and his arm. He's also got an offensive line in front of him that's performing exceptionally well, and obviously he is the type of quarterback that will improve the offensive line in front of him because he is great at pre-snap reads as well as getting rid of the ball quickly. Doesn't take a lot of snaps. He is a ninja inside the pocket in terms of making those little subtle movements to move around where he has to. So Tom Brady has put up some pretty solid games so far. 3 games over 20 points, 1 game with a ceiling game last game where he was chasing the Los Angeles Chargers, threw for 369 and 5 touchdowns, multiple touchdowns in 3 of his 4 games. I am going to be playing him in captain, but I'm going to be limiting him to 7 or 8% because, as we've said so many times before, a quarterback usually does not end the day as the optimal captain on a slate unless they have like 40 to 50 fantasy points. And if they do, and none of those are scored on the ground, there's probably going to be a wide receiver, a pass catcher, a tight end that's going to come in for less money, still allow you to capture those points from the quarterback in the flex spot and have that other player in there. So if I'm going to build Tom Brady lineups, we have to discuss how we're going to build those lineups. If I have Tom Brady lineups, I mentioned in the intro that we have Mike Evans, did not practice on Tuesday. He was limping really, really badly after kind of coming down awkwardly. Still scored 28 DraftKings points in that game, even though he was quite hobbled. Even after that touchdown, it was a little jump ball at the back of the end zone. Caught it, came down, and really laboring to get off the field after that. I don't know if he's gonna be able to bounce back. Hopefully it's not something structural. If it's not structural, they have great drugs at the NFL level that can help these guys play through pain for the 3.5 hours that they have to perform, whether it's a Thursday night game or a Sunday game. So as long as it's not something structural, he'll have the ability to hopefully play through it. But if it is structural in that ankle where he can't plant or cut or push off, if it's not a pain management issue, it's a structural issue, then obviously that could keep him out of this game. We're going to have to wait and see. Again, 90 minutes before lock on Thursday evening, we will know whether him or whether Chris Godwin are active. So Godwin has missed, you know, when he plays great. Week 1 he was in, week 2 he was out, week 3 he was in, week 4 he was out. So based on, if he's going to play all the odd weeks, he should play in week 5, right? I know that that's not exactly science or top-notch analysis, but sometimes you come here for the comedy as well. I'm expecting him to not play on Thursday night on the short week. They're going to give him the extended time to come back and come back healthy. They want to have him ready to play down the stretch as opposed to forcing him in for a Thursday night game against Chicago. So if both him and Evans are out, and as I said before, we also have the injury at tight end, which opens up more room for Gronkowski and more room for Cam Brate at 3,800. Now we have a lot of value plays. If they're both in, I don't expect Godwin to play, so I'm going to speak like he's not in. If Evans is in, he's going to be included in my Tom Brady group, and I'm going to make sure that anytime I have Tom Brady at captain, I'm going to have at least 2 of his pass catchers in there. Ronald Jones, debatable whether or not he's a pass catcher. He dropped 3 balls this weekend, but he did get 9 targets. If you believe that he's going to catch a bunch of balls out of this backfield, then I don't mind including him in Tom Brady groups, at least for single game showdown. If it's for a main slate, I'm probably not going to do that. Scotty Miller's got a question by his name. Hip groin, did not practice in 2. God, they're just a mash unit. I'm going to assume that he does play. And then, as I said, we've got to look at their really cheap kind of wide receivers. Justin Watson is in that group. Cam Brate is in that group. Gronkowski, everybody's questionable. Q. Okay, Barner's out. Hey, somebody's got distinctive O, and LaShawn McCoy's doubtful. We also have just $200 Jaden Mickens. We've got a 200, depending on the injuries, Tyler Johnson, same sort of situation. The more guys that are out on top, the more guys we're going to have to play underneath. And you may have to play this showdown slate by leaving a lot of money out there. I'm also going to build a bring back group. If there's no way to spend the money, you're going to have to try and build an optimal lineup in terms of building around volume. And you may have to leave what is seemingly an uncomfortable amount of money on the table for this type of slate. So when I mean a bring back group, I have Tom Brady. I'm going to have at least 2 of his pass catchers in that group. I need to have players on Chicago. I'm going to build a group that includes every single one of the players that I believe are the main offensive. I'm not going to include everybody in Chicago, but I will include Robinson, Foles. Montgomery is somebody who's been thrust into what should be a more voluminous role, at least in the passing game, with Tariq Cohen out. I think we will see a little bit more Cordero Patterson in that kind of mold, in the Tariq Cohen mold. But if David Montgomery gets 5 targets a week on average moving forward, he is somebody that we're going to be focusing on a lot more on main slates, as his price, based on where all the other running backs are, he's going to be a 5K, maybe 4,800 running back on main slates if he does not blow up here against Tampa Bay. And it is difficult for running backs to blow up against Tampa Bay. They just, unless they're massive pass catchers like an Alvin Kamara, Tampa Bay usually gives it up on the outside and stuffs running backs, which is what they did pretty much all of last year. And we've seen a lot of that so far this year. So I'm going to include Montgomery in that group. I will include Jimmy Graham, who's run a tremendous amount of routes. 75 to 80% of his quarterbacks dropbacks are turning into routes run, which is what you want, right? So like, say what you want. He's old. Maybe he's lost a step. I don't care. He's getting out there and getting 7 targets, 10 targets, 5 targets, as well as a lot of the goal line usage on this team. Obviously, Allen Robinson is a monster. I wish Allen Robinson got to play in his prime years with like an all-star level quarterback, an all-pro level quarterback, an all NFL level quarterback, because this dude is a tremendous talent, and he hasn't played with the best quarterbacks, let's just say. No offense, they're obviously professionals. They're way better than I'm ever could dream of being at throwing a football, but they're not the cream of the crop. Let's just be honest. You know, whether it's Foles or whether it was Trubisky. So I'm going to bring this back with at least one of these guys, and I'm going to show you in Fantasy Labs how we're going to build that group. I also in Flex want to make sure that I don't allow, I'm going to build a group around, well, I'm not going to use him. I'm going to build a group around the kickers and the defenses in this matchup. I got to bring on both teams if I want to do that. We're going to have the Buccaneers defense. We're going to have the Buccaneers kicker. And I'm going to make sure that I limit to one of these. You can definitely change that. If you think that it's going to be a kicker battle, you think these teams aren't going to be able to score touchdowns, especially if there's a lot of injuries to the Tampa Bay wide receivers, and you think this game is just going to be a slog fest, a bully ball, just ugly football, 9-6 at halftime, I don't mind allowing more than one kicker or one defense into a lineup. So you can tweak your groups as you want. And if we're going to include position players at our captain spot, so like I said, if you've got Allen Robinson as your captain, I'm going to tie Nick Foles to him. So if I have an Allen Robinson group, I'm going to tie him to that. If I have where'd he go? A David Montgomery at captain group, I'm probably going to say do not allow the Tampa Bay defense to go along with that group. If I have a Mike Evans group, I'm going to make sure that Tom Brady is in every one of my Mike Evans at captain's lineups. So let's go over and take a look over here at Fantasy Labs. As you can see, you can go to their optimizer. You go here, NFL models optimizer. This is going to be a link down below in the description to get all their different packages at discounted rates. They have a 5-day package that I think is absolutely outstanding. For those of you who are looking to get in and haven't really used an optimizer before, if you buy it on Thursday morning, and it's not expensive at all, it's a few dollars. I think it's less than $10 for the week. You get it for 5 days. You can play the Thursday night slate, the main slate with their projections and optimizer, the Sunday night football slate, and play around with it, and then the Monday night football slate. So you get an entire weekend of football by using the link down below, smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase L. Link will be right down below in the pinned comment. So we go to the optimizer here. We click on settings. We're going to have the settings that I have preloaded into this. Minimum salary cap, I've got it 90%. As you can see on DraftKings, we have a salary cap of 50K. So if I have a 90% of that cap, I may have to extend that to get what I want if both Godwin and Evans are not in there. You toy with this as you want to. I do not allow kickers or defense to be in the captain spot. That's just for me. That's something that I do. I have the shuffle, the range of outcomes at 15%, because I want to get a wider range of outcomes. If you wanted to go basically just on the projections and just stick to the stud players, you set it to 0. If you want more shuffle, you want more randomness in the lineup building, you set it all the way up to 50. For showdowns, I put it around 10 or 15. You go to those groups. This is how you build them. You don't have to build them by hand if you don't want to. You can if you go here to player groups and you just add group and at least one, or player correlations, you say insert a rule when lineups include, select player, Tom Brady at captain, add a rule, at least 2. You can do this manually if you want. You don't have to. You just use the position tab. So pair a captain quarterback with at least 2 of his wide receivers, tight ends, and kickers from the same team. Pair quarterback captain with at least 1 quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end from the opponent. Pair the captain wide receiver with exactly 1 QB from the same team, tight ends from the same team. Limit to exactly 1 defense or kicker. You can, not exactly, limit to at most 1 defense or kicker, or if you think it's just going to be a defensive slogfest and you want to allow it to the optimizer to build you lineups with 2, you can have it build you 2. You click apply settings. As I said, I'm probably going to limit both of these quarterbacks to, I don't know, let's say 7 or 8% each, because when you look at the lineups that have won in Showdown, it's always comes down to like 75% of overall single game showdowns have been won with a wide receiver or running back and captain. There are some outliers. Neither of them are in this game. Tom Brady at this age that he's at and Nick Foles are not those type of guys. The guys that are the outliers are players like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, quarterbacks that can put up Dak Prescott this year, who can put up 40 or 50 fantasy points in one game and warrant being in your captain spot where they get 1.5x for the money that they spend. You sort here, you see the lineups that it's built for us. It immediately built 28% Tom Brady captain lineups, and it built, where's Nick Foles? It only made 3%. I'm still going to set a max for him. You click save on your maxes and we rerun it. I don't believe that you will be a profitable player by just going to a lineup builder site, whether it's Fantasy Labs or any one of them. Just going to the site, and we call it just running a vanilla run. Set it to 150, hit generate lineups. Don't set any rules. Don't tweak the projections. Don't set boosts. Don't limit players. Don't do anything. And it's just say, spit out 150 lineups based on your projections, and hey, I'm just going to start printing money. That's not how this works. You got to put a lot of time in. It takes me a lot more than it just takes me to do it in this video to build my 150 lineups that I'm going to put into a single game showdown. But this is kind of the nuts and bolts of how you do it. I'm going to change things. I'm going to boost players. If I have a certain captain, I'm going to make sure that I get these other players. I'm going to boost their projections. We can go through how to do that on stream. Just stop by Twitch any day. The lineups that it put out for us, we have 40% Ronald Jones at captain. We have 20% Montgomery, and it gave us 12.7 Evans, 8% Tom Brady. As you see, I maxed him there, and then it's got a few other guys as well. Overall exposures, it's got us with 31 different players being used. You can cut that down or you can expand it depending on your taste. Salt to taste, your mileage may vary, but I do believe that this is a tool that you should try to toy around with. Use the links down below. Best of luck, and I'll catch you with the next video you can find right here.
He's a legend.